When you're new to home cooking, I think a great recipe to start with is something your family or you, if you're cooking only for yourself, order out a lot. And if you're my family, before we got really into home cooking, pizza used to be one of those things we always ordered out because I was convinced we could never make it taste as good at home. Well, this recipe changes everything because this is cast iron skillet pizza. And you can use whatever toppings you want for it. There's only a handful of ingredients that you need, and I'll show you those on the screen as I make this recipe so you can screenshot them and shop for them, or you could just print out the recipe at Sip Bite Go. So the first thing you need to do is start with your pizza dough, and you want it to be at room temperature for a few hours before you try to work with it. I do have an entire video on how to stretch pizza dough that you could use to make this cast iron skillet pizza recipe. But basically I use both the cutting board and I pick it up and use the back of my hands to help stretch it out. And along the way I sprinkle it with some flour, which helps it get larger, not stick to my hands or the cutting board, and retain that larger shape. Now, you don't have to have a perfect circle, but get it good enough. And hopefully you've already preheated your cast iron skillet in the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. You should have put it in when you were making the ingredients. And once it's nice and hot, you can add that dough to the center. What you see me put down first is some extra virgin olive oil. This does help the dough crisp up, and I also like to put a little bit of it around the crust so it gets nice and golden brown when you bake this in the oven. Lastly, a sprinkle of salt gives it a little flavor. And the first thing that you do is you cook it naked, which is my technique that I call it. So you just cook it for 3 minutes in the oven, just the crust on 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And then leave the oven on, but remove the pizza and add a layer of the sauce and leave room for the crust. Then add your favorite cheese. I like mozzarella and cheddar. Sometimes I'll use gruyere as well. I added onto this one some red onion and pepperoni and a sprinkle of Italian seasoning just to add a little bit of flavor. So delicious. All right. We also like our barbecue chicken recipes, and I have crazy recipes like taco pizzas and burger pizzas that you can find on Sip Bite Go. So pop that in the oven. You want to bake it for 10 to 12 minutes until the cheese is bubbling and the crust is golden brown. Slice it when it's cool enough and serve it with some fresh basil on top. This makes a really yummy thick pizza, and because you par-baked the dough before baking the pizza in cast iron skillet, that really helped you to make sure it's cooked thoroughly. Get this recipe and others at Sip Bite Go. Cheers!